Welcome to the HBCU podcast. You're listening to episode 49. If you're an avid listener or just joining us for the first time, here we're joined by some awesome HBCU grads in the form of co-host and guest. We also focus on all the great things HBCU alumni are doing all over the world. On this episode, we speak with an alumnus of Claflin University and South Carolina State University, Jamaal Lemon. Jamaal is a Cicerone-certified beer server, co-creator of the Wayfarer Study podcast, father of Satchel, and husband of Nikki. He's a die-hard fan of the Clemson Tigers, Imperial Chocolate Stouts, and Thursdays. During this episode, we discuss his HBCU experience, his love for beer, and how he's blazing new trails in the beer industry. Keep listening. It's the HBCU podcast.
My name is Jamaal Lemon. I am a 2002 graduate of Claflin University, BA, and a 2004 graduate of South Carolina State with a MAT in English.
Nice. So, Jamaal, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
Welcome to the HBCU
What's
podcast. So, if any of the listeners feel like, dang, I know him, I know that name, or whatever, it's because Jamaal has submitted some stuff for us on the HBCUpodcast.com, our growing blog. So definitely check out his contributions there. And of course, you know, we only have the best on here. So of course, he's a Claflinite.
Of course.
He went to state too, but he's a Claflinite.
And another school, actually.
Yeah, I saw that. We are going to get into it because I need to know, like, why, what had happened, all of that. But, Jamaal, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This podcast is awesome, man.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
Thank you. But we're going to jump right into it. One of the things I most like about you is that
sweetheart.
you always represent the fact that you're from Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes.
I meet so many people who are from South Carolina and decide that because they lived in a certain city for so long, they're from there, and they never like really represent South Carolina, which is why people don't know much about South Carolina, because I think a lot of us toss them to the side. If you're not from a big city, you don't say anything about it. So tell us about you being from Charleston, you growing up there, how it was, how you were as a kid. Talk about it.
Yeah, born and raised Charleston, South Carolina. I love Charleston to death. I also hate Charleston to death. But I think I express my love for Charleston so much because I don't live there anymore. Like I live in, Baltimore and lived in DC for a little while. Because it's like a lot of things that you learn as a kid, like you really don't appreciate it till you get older.
Yeah.
And like just that southern easy living, good food, nice people.
Yeah.
Awesome weather, like a lot of those things you kind of, take for granted. But like growing up, I mean, just, regular kid, grew up in suburbs outside of Charleston, always playing in the ditch, catching snakes, and just I think I had like a pretty air quote all-American kid life growing up. Parents split up when I was 2, but my dad lived like 15 minutes away. Okay. So he was, dad's very much still in my life, and but parents did a really good job co-parenting.
What about siblings? Are you?
So my dad remarried, and I have 2 younger brothers, Aubrey and Harry, both of which went to South Carolina State. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm my mom's only child.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I always wanted to know that about you because I feel like every time I see things about you, from what I know, again, you're a Claflinite, but we kind of like were ships passing when you got to Claflin and when you left Claflin and when I got there. But you always seemed really creative. So like, was that were you creative as a child too? Like,
so this may be why I hate Charleston.
Okay.
So I feel uncomfortable saying that, oh yeah, I was a creative person. Like but I've always kind of been that person, like, oh, he's a little left, a little crazy, a little off. Like everybody at Claflin calls me Lemon because of my last name. Yeah. So like anytime there's like a conversation about, I don't know, like a song or something, and I'll be like, that song's trash. I hate that song. Y'all should listen to this song. And there's always something a little crazy, and there's always, Lemon, you on that bullshit. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you can. Definitely.
So it was always like that kind of reaction to me doing things. And I say this is why I hate Charleston for that, because I don't think that was fostered for me. As far as like, I don't know, like educational programs in school, like I've always, even up till now, like always been like the only black guy in certain settings, mainly in school, and was treated as such in like a negative way. But not even but I think like that kind of like made me kind of like hold things back a little bit, not want to be so expressive, and like not really want to give my viewpoint on certain things because I knew it would be shot down by others. So you just kind of just keep it to yourself. I always stand firm with it, but as far as like just like voluntarily like giving out information about my thoughts or my creativity or whatever, like I just never really did that because it seemed like it was never appreciated.
And did you seem like that was like you were by yourself in that, or did you ever find like other people that kind of felt the same way you did?
Like not really. Like I've always kind of, and I'm an only child. Well, like I said, my mom's only child, so I've always been good with like getting along with others, but like really telling people like the things that I like, and like, I don't know, movies or books that I've read, and like just kind of like tread it a little bit light. You know, as far as like growing up, now as I got older, like I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like this is what it is. Like you like this shit or haul ass. But like definitely like in those years, like middle school, and you know having friends and all that stuff is like very important. Like
to you
just kind of chill on it, and
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like that gives me like a lot of insight into kind of how you were and like how you've evolved a little bit. Not saying I for sure know you, but that makes a lot of sense. I have a niece who she's the only child too. My sister and my brother-in-law have no plans of having any other kids.
Good job.
She kind of reminds me of that. She's like, this is what I think. I do not care. I don't bend. I don't break. This is what it is. And she doesn't have to because she's an only child. But just talking about that, and then just how creative and the things that, I guess the mindset that you had, what was high school like, and how did you decide on choosing colleges? Like, what was it that said, hey, this is the path that I want to go to? Like, you know, I want to go to college.
So so my mom went to college. She's a teacher. She's a retired teacher now. So college was always in my mind. And my mom's from Rock Hill. And grew up sharecropping and, you know, Jim Crow era, all that stuff. So it was always this practical, take your ass to college, graduate, go get a good job. So that was beat into me like very, like literally and figuratively beat into me at an early age. So college was always a thing. And I played sports in high school. You know, football, basketball, track, and all that stuff. But I was, you know, fairly good in football to the point where I had a couple smaller schools looking at me. For whatever reason, I never thought to do my schoolwork and play football. So I was really only playing football.
And that other stuff was on the back burner.
Other stuff was definitely on the back burner. But I grew up in the 80s era, whatever, so watching a different world in school days, and immediately I was like, I want to go to HBCU, especially like school days, because like it was like so my mom and dad were Panthers when they were younger, so like that whole black experience was also kind of like
ingrained in you.
Dope. And that was never the stuff that my mom and dad would teach me. Those things were never taught at school. And when I would bring those things up in school, being the only black kid in school, it was kind of like whatever, almost shut down, for lack of a better term. But watching School Days and seeing like how the involvement and their concern with, like, you know, South Africa and all that stuff, and the students rallying on campus for a purpose. It's like, oh yeah, I want to do that shit. Like that's exactly what I'm not really thinking that this is not a real story. So just always wanted to go to HBCU. For whatever reason, I pulled Hampton out of my ass. I said, yeah, that's a school that I want to go to.
Nobody in the family
don't know
went.
anybody that went to Hampton, whatever.
Okay.
So my senior year in high school, I tried to muster up some good grades. They all came up short, but I wanted to go to Hampton. My football coach got in touch with the one of the coaches at Hampton, and they liked my film or whatever. And but my grades were so bad that I couldn't get in. I literally had like a 1.6 GPA coming out of high school. But they said that they had this program called the Summer Bridge program, whatever.
Okay.
They said, well, if you come up here in the summer, you take 2 classes. You take a math class and English class. Pass these classes, you can get in. You can get your scholarship money and then get on the team or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. Now at this point, I had never been out of South Carolina, ever. I mean, I've been gone to family vacations New Jersey or whatever, but not for an extended period of time, and definitely not by myself.
Oh.
And so this is the summer of '97. Go up to Hampton in June, and I think I'm there for like a month. 2 classes to take.
Okay.
English class, math class, right?
That was it.
I was done with both of those classes by 12 o'clock, by 12 noon. So I had the entire day
to figure out
myself.
What you were doing.
Yep. To study for 2 classes.
Apparently.
Right. Long story short, failed both classes, did not get into Hampton.
Oh, no.
I mean, I had the greatest time at Hampton. Yes. That was one of
Wait a minute. What were you doing then?
Listen, the first 2 days there at Hampton, they had a pool party.
Oh.
Okay? They had a pool party. So in my mind, I'm already thinking, I know how this is going to go. I've had my experiences with my people in pools and, the cool aspect. Nobody's going to be in the pool. Everybody's going to be playing cool. I'm going to swim. That's just, I like swimming.
Right.
Got to the pool party. Everybody's in the pool. There's a DJ on the side of the pool, and ladies are in the pool dancing. Blew my mind. From
Never
that,
seen it.
Sugar to shit from that day right there. Did not study. I didn't do anything. I was out drinking, just doing all kind of crazy shit. But I was experiencing life that I had never experienced before.
And it was summer. Summer seems like a break anyway.
Oh my gosh,
that's not the
man.
time to study.
And the funny, kind of jumping way ahead. So my wife, I'm married. If anybody wants to know, my wife Nikki, love you, baby. She's a Hampton grad.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
She's a few years older than me. So the year that I got to Hampton...
Nikki gonna have to be on the podcast now.
Oh, yeah. She's a shit. She's a shit. So the year that I got to Hampton was the same year that she graduated.
Okay.
So we may have seen each other, may not have, but
know.
just, one of those, it's just always a funny story. It's like, baby, we were always destined to be together.
I like it.
Yeah, man. So Hampton was technically my first college that I
did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
but it wasn't a go. That's not where the destiny was pulling you.
So after coming back home and getting legendary cuss out by mom and dad,
I bet.
my mom was like, taking you to Claflin. And now at this time, Claflin kind of didn't have a good reputation. It's like, I'm not going to no, they didn't got no football team. I'm not going to Claflin. And she was like, are you going to Claflin? Went up to Claflin, went on a Tuesday, literally got registered for everything, got accepted, all of that in a matter of 2 hours.
Were you there during Tisdale was the president when you were there, right?
Yeah, Tisdale. I think he had been
96, I think.
Yeah, he had gotten there 2 years prior to, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. But he had just gotten there. And I remember it was barbed wires around the campus. And I was like, no, man. No, it's in Orangeburg. Nothing's in Orangeburg.
That's true.
No, man, I don't want to do this. And, got into Claflin. And so my first semester there, I think now looking back at it, I think I was a little depressed. I didn't hang out. I literally went to class and went home every weekend and I hung out a little bit. At the time they had a club called the Silver Spur. We would do that on Thursdays but never really, I wasn't out there like that. I was just kind of just doing my thing. And then came back that following semester, and then really just took it all in.
Yeah. So how did your mom decide of all the schools in South Carolina, I want to send you here?
I have no idea.
Okay. So she has no connection or anything?
No, I have no idea. She just, because I couldn't get in the state.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Claflin was the only school that would take me.
See,
I couldn't get in the state.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Look at it that way.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely how I look at it. But my first year at Claflin, that first semester, that was like the greatest GPA I've had in my entire life up until that point. I had like a 2.9, something like that.
Right.
Because I just studied, did my shit, and that was it.
You weren't playing sports, nothing.
Wasn't playing sports. Wasn't chasing after any girls at the time. So I was kind of just like,
yeah,
whatever.
So what was your major while you were there? What did you land on?
Education.
Okay.
I say that reluctantly.
Yeah, I hear your side.
Yeah.
What had happened?
Well, how can I explain this? So, I know that I only took up that major because my mom and my dad told me to, because I would get a job immediately after college. That's the only reason why. Now, I love kids. No, kids are cool. I can do it. But, that was never
your dream.
That was never my dream. And I've always known what I wanted to do since 5, 6, 7 years old. But I'd never had any models to show. I'm coming from, even though my mom is kind of like a, wild child, tree hugger almost kind of.
Okay.
Parents kind of with Panthers and all of that. They still came from a very practical setting where it's like, you're like the first one to go and do something, so you have to go and do it.
Pressure.
Nobody went to college in my family, at least not on my mom's side at the time. So it's like, I kind of have to just take the L, get this education degree, just so you can say that you have it, and there you go.
Well, what's the dream? What you said you always knew, which I'm low-key jealous about, because I never knew what I wanted to do.
The dream has always been just painting with a broad brush here, having fun and connecting with people.
I love it.
Now, how do you put that in a job? I don't know. I didn't know then, but it's like now I'm in a position to where that's exactly what I do. I'm in this industry, in the craft beer industry, and I'm connecting with people all the time. I'm teaching people, so that education degree is kind of coming in handy. And I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool that you say that, because I run into people every now and then on this podcast who always knew what they wanted to do. And you just even saying, I just want to, have fun, connect with people. I think sometimes it's so dismissive for people to hear someone say something like that. And really, it's like you being a visionary. This is what it is that you want for your life. But because there aren't people out here who've already laid that foundation for fun and connecting with people, then people treat it as if you're just kind of shooting the shit.
Exactly.
And so that's why I always ask, but I always like to interview people and just kind of find out how they landed where they did, and why I was so interested in talking to you, because you do something that I never would have thought was a job or something that you could get paid for. So fun, connecting with people is what you said. After school, what immediately after you got that degree, what was it that you ended up doing?
So when I graduated from Claflin, I did not want to work. I was like, what? No, this can't be it. I do not want to do this. I'm having fun, just not doing. It's a bit laziness, but it's also a bit no.
I need a break.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yeah.
So, one of my professors, Dr. O'Neill, I can't remember what the class was that I was in one of her classes. I was pretty outspoken student, but I was drawn to her because she would have it was sometimes we would come into class, it would just be like a conversation, like no paper, like we're just talking, and like that's the shit that I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
Because like I want to talk, like let's kind of like
no structure per se.
Let's all figure this shit out together, man. Like I don't care about these books. Like let's figure it out together.
Yeah.
And like she was really big on like just like communicating and stuff like that. So one day, I was walking across South Carolina State's campus, and she was driving by. She pulled over. Ooh, beep, beep. Jamal, what you doing at the graduation? I don't know. She like, you want to go to grad school? I was like, yeah. She was like, well, I got a scholarship for you. Come by my office tomorrow. It's like, okay. Go by her office, and there's a scholarship for like education majors where they will pay full tuition, pay for your books. And give you a stipend every 2 weeks.
Wow.
That stipend was I think it was $350 every 2 weeks.
Nice.
Let me tell you how cheap Orangeburg is. My rent in Orangeburg in 2002 was $187.50.
Who you splitting it with?
My boy Jermaine Gamble, my profile.
Okay. I was about to say if it was just 180 now. Wait a minute.
Yeah. So that stipend went a very long way.
Nice.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Shout out my boy Josh.
Oh, thank you.
Beers.
Yeah, just for you guys who don't know, I am here at Atlas Brew Works talking to Jamaal Lemon, who is we're going to go through all of that and what he currently does now. Oh, cheers. But we're here in a brewery, so if you hear a little bit of fun, interaction, body rolling, if you could hear it, this is what it sounds like. We're in a brewery, and he's been, putting me on game, letting me do a few flights, try a few things, and it's super dope.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, that's where we are. And Josh just brought us some more drinks. So
also
cheers.
known as my wife's boyfriend.
Yeah. He can tell you more about that. I know nothing.
But so, yeah, she's like, yeah, come on my office. Scholarship and all that good stuff.
This is good.
Yeah, it is good.
What is this?
This is Imperial Stout, I think. Yep, Imperial. This is 14.4%, so you might want to slow your roll there, young.
Really?
Yeah.
It tastes so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on now. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
So, yeah, the grad school classes were conversation. They were built around conversation.
Yeah.
Now, the classes were like 2.5 hours long, but it was all conversation.
Okay.
So, lack of a better term, I thrived in grad school. Like, 3.5 GPA, like, because we were like talking, even though it was like about shit that I didn't really care about, like, like school. I mean, I can talk about it, but it's like that's not my thing that I would prefer to talk about.
Yeah.
But it was good because it was like conversation. Okay. So I did that for a couple years and then finished, and then it was time to get a job. And I could not get a job teaching at the time because I couldn't pass the teacher's exam.
Yeah.
So worked at a charter school for like a year in downtown Charleston. And I was doing that and then like working part-time at like Banana Republic for a little while. So I did that. And I was like, basically I was hired as a reading specialist. So I would just help kids read. And I mean, wasn't paying. I was still living in like my mom's basement or whatever. But, it was cool paying my dues.
Yeah.
And then I got a job offer to come to Marlboro County High School in Bennettsville, South Carolina.
Bennettsville. I know some people from there.
Yeah, never been to Bennettsville. Same thing. I went to school with like a lot of people from Bennettsville.
I feel like in real life, Aziz Ansari, the comedian, he's from Bennettsville, like legit. He didn't
go to Marlboro County though.
No, probably not. I don't know where he went, but his parents have a practice or something there.
Yeah. But
Bennettsville, you on the map.
Yeah, it's nothing in Bennettsville. So I was teaching high school there and coaching football, and the kids were cool, but it still was not what I wanted to do. Like, it got to a point where I literally hated it. I was there for like 2 years, and it was a Christmas break, and one of my frat brothers who lived up here in D.C., he was like, hey man, what you do for holidays? You should come up here. I was like, yeah, I probably should. At the time, I had like just broken up with my girlfriend at the time. I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go.
Let's take a visit.
Flew up and like had a blast. Because I say that because I met all these people that did all these different things, like hanging out with him. I met people like yeah, I work for National Geographic, or I work for this. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Everybody I know works in like a plant or as like a teacher, like.
And that's so crazy is that you say that. Like, I always talk about like perspective, getting to know people, meeting people, because a lot of times you are what you're exposed to. And from being from South Carolina is very like much like the industry, the industrial manufacturing type thing. So if you stay there and you don't spread your wings, that's all you'll ever be exposed to. So I think it's great that you say that, because it's like, get out, meet people, find out what people do, because you never even know. Now, this is something that you should be finding out at college, but we'll touch on that a little bit too.
And then, so I think that was like the monumental thing, because had I not moved, had I not gotten out of South Carolina, who knows, what I've been doing. I probably would have been stuck. Yeah. 260 pounds, just like depressed, like not doing anything, like. But coming here because it's a little bit more open to different things. People do a lot of different things here to obtain income or whatever. So just seeing that and kind of just found my way, and like, long story short, 6 months later from that time that I came here to visit for Christmas, ended up moving up here, and that was 12 years ago, and I have a wife and a son and all these new white friends. And
you know what? No. So one of the things, guys, he is not touching on is that he moved up here and just like started thriving. I don't know if it was right away. You can definitely tell us that. But Jamaal does some really cool stuff. I started following you and Shep after I saw that you were kind of, and social media is a thing. I always tell people who are on here that, like, I'm nosy, but like low-key nosy. Like, if you put it out there, I'll follow, type of thing. And then journalism was my major, so I'm always like interested in what people are doing in general. But I saw that you guys were traveling to different places, different countries. I don't want to downplay it by saying places, not just the United, not domestically, but internationally. You were in different places, all in the name of beer. And I was like, what the heck is he into? Because I knew that you had to be getting paid for it, because I was like, I know he's not randomly out here doing this. But talk a little bit about what like kind of happened in where you are in the industry that you're in right now, and how everything came about, because now you blog specifically about beer culture, you work and educate people on beers, and you do a podcast that's specifically about beers and women in beer. So like, tell everybody how that came about and how you landed there.
So my boy Shep and I, we used to have this blog about 10 years ago, whatever, called Sovereign Space. And it was like just a little music blog. At this point, we're just trying to find our little creative direction. Yeah. We just want to do some good shit. We're basically just trying to get out of our 9-to-5 jobs. Yeah. So we would like just blog about music, and it got to a point where we would be able to go to shows and get backstage passes, because we would like shoot like little cool videos and edit it and
you
take
were like
pictures.
Media.
Yeah, basically. And so we would go to all these different music festivals or whatever. So then I had an idea. I was like, yo, let's go to Europe. Let's go there and let's just shoot it. Like, do some cool videos or whatever, make it look cool, because at the time, like, all of our friends, like, nobody really went outside of the norm. Everybody, they would go to the DR, Jamaica, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Miami, Vegas, back to Charlotte, back to
warm
Charleston.
climates.
Where everybody had the same song and dance. Yeah. And then not like in like a stunt kind of thing. It was kind of like, yo, let's just go see, like,
what else is out there.
Let's go see what and I've always been intrigued about other countries and different cultures and all that. So we that first trip we went to Amsterdam and Barcelona, and prior to that I had been to Amsterdam once before, So I was kind of familiar with it, but none of us had been to Barcelona. And like I said, we just went there, just shot video, like went into the coffee shop, smoked a little weed, and that was part of the culture there.
And this was prior to you guys doing it for work. This was with your blog.
So we came back and dressed it all up and posted it, and like the feedback from it was like it's pretty good. We was like, oh shit, people like this. Okay, let's do another one. So we did another one, and we went to like Greece and Rome and some other places. Anyway, did the same thing.
Yeah.
People liked it. We came back and we had like an iPhone photo exhibit at a venue here in DC, and did like a little bootleg documentary of our trip or whatever. And like people paid money to come see the shit, and
dope.
Did all of that. So that blog, we ended up taking that one, and then we focused solely on travel.
Okay.
So Shep and I created the Wayfarer Study,
okay,
where we would just travel and basically just document our experiences.
Yeah.
Now, we both also had 9-to-5 jobs, so it's kind of hard to travel all the time.
Right.
So I started brainstorming, well, how can we travel without necessarily traveling? So then I came up with an idea for a YouTube show called One Beer.
Okay.
And basically, we would take one beer from one country and compare it to one album. It's kind of like a wine and cheese sort of thing.
Okay.
So we would do that. We shoot I'll go out to his apartment on a Sunday. We'll shoot like 3 different episodes, and we'll just post them up. And it was basically like we would take a beer, talk about the packaging. At this point, we're complete novices.
Okay, don't know anything about beer.
We drink beer, but it's like as far as like styles and what's brewed, how is it brewed, we don't know none of that shit. We just talking shit. We just trying to be creative, right?
Right.
So we had like a good 15 videos or so, whatever. So we do this for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then a casting call comes about from a company called World of Beer. Mm-hmm. I saw it on a website called Thrillers. It says, do you want to travel the world to drink beer for $12,000? And
pause.
Yeah.
Talk us through this, because okay, I feel like, and I know I'm not the only person, like, and it might be now these days is more so clickbait, but like, just talk about a little bit about the feeling, if there was one at all, that said, man, I should click this, I should go for this, I should read more, because I don't know, I'm a big believer in the universe and how things happen, and that's just personally me. I don't know if that's everybody else, but like, what was it that made you say, like, so let me go further and check this out?
Half and half. Half is like, oh, this is crazy. Like, we're already doing this. Like, not saying to myself, like, oh, shit, we should do this. It's like, that's that South Carolina half that's like,
you can't really get paid for this.
You can't really get paid doing that. Nobody does. You know what I'm saying? And then, so I forwarded the link to Shep. I was like, yo, check this out. Like, we already do this. Not apply for it. I just forwarded it to Shep. Mm-hmm. And he responds, yeah, that's crazy. And that was it. That was it. And then like 2-3 days go by, I was like, you know what? I'll feel better knowing that I just applied. We're not going to win this shit. Like, Thrillers is a pretty popular website, and this is a worldwide casting call.
Everybody in the world, the whole globe.
Worldwide casting call.
Okay.
And so basically they just want you to shoot like a minute video about why you should be selected. Mm-hmm. I didn't do that. I sent them a video of one of our episodes, like, this is what we do.
Didn't even follow the
instructions. So, fast forward, this had to have been like January, February. And fast forward, April 1st, my girlfriend, who's my wife now, we were moving into our new apartment, and I get an email on my phone, hey, this is not an April Fool's joke. You've been selected as a semifinalist. Right? It's like, what? And I totally forgot about it. I was like, oh, shit. So I called Shep.
Yeah.
Shep, check out this email. It's from that company that was doing the casting call. They say, oh, no, we made it as semifinalists. I don't know if it's legit. Check it out. I can't. I'm literally moving right now.
Yeah.
And he responds back like, yeah, man, it seems like legit. Like, it's legit. They just want us to, send an email back saying that we accept. I was like, okay, boom. Send an email saying that we accept. They contact us again and said that we made it as finalists.
Okay.
So they give us a special, air quotes, special project to do. what is this project?
Yeah, tell us more.
They want us to go to a brewery, any brewery, document, shoot like a little video about one beer, and interview like the owner or the brewmaster or whatever.
And at the time, y'all already had the sovereign space thing. You already did.
Come on now.
This was already in your wheelhouse.
Yes. So they say do all that and like take 3 pictures and do a write-up. And we both look at each other like,
easy.
Yo, we've been doing this shit for like 5 years. I'm like, okay, this is what y'all want us to do. So we do it. We go to a local brewery, shoot the video, take 3 pictures, and then I think the money-making decision Shep made was like, I have a 15-pound Boston Terrier. Coltrane is his name.
Oh, I love Coltrane.
Shep said, whatever we do for that video, make sure that Coltrane is in that video.
Creative.
Put Coltrane in the video. Long story short, we ended up winning.
People love dogs.
A worldwide casting call that traveled the world and drink beer. So
that is so awesome.
Yeah, Shep and I were a package. So they selected both of us. And they selected a young lady from Brooklyn and a guy from Ohio.
Okay.
So World of Beer, like their headquarters is in Tampa, Florida. So they were having like their annual, employee like party, celebration, whatever. So they, upon accepting, like, we accept.
Do this.
They said, well, this is like a Tuesday. They were like, okay, Friday we're going to fly you guys out to Tampa for our
I don't know what you do for regular work, but we need y'all to be down here.
Yeah. Like, okay, no problem. So flew us down there, everything's paid, and like it's like this big ass concert, and it's like free beer everywhere, and they literally pull us on stage, introduce us, and like, so everybody, I guess like all of their employees have been seeing like the contestants, so when we got there, everybody knew who we were, and the whole time they were like, oh my god, cool. We were rooting for y'all, we were hope you guys win, and we're like, yo, what the fuck is going on here?
How do you even know me?
And so that like that whole weekend was like an orientation for us. So we had to have like media training and all that shit.
Okay.
Shep and I interviewed with the BBC and like,
nice, because
like the contest was like really, like I said, it was a worldwide casting call. So it was like really big, and it was like very big in the craft beer industry. But like,
so talk a little bit. I mean, I know you are telling us about your story and how it came to be, but like, what is the difference between like craft beer and just like, I don't know, whatever is opposite of craft beer?
Yeah, so craft beer is considered any brewery that makes less than, I think, 2 million barrels, something like that. So a barrel is like 31 gallons of beer. So it's like those kegs you see right there. Those are, each keg is like 15 and a half gallons.
Okay.
So if you think,
they make more than 2 of those.
Yeah. So like your Buds, your Heinekens, your Coronas, like all of those are like mass produced beer companies. So your smaller craft breweries or anything that, I mean, hell, just pull up your Yelp app and then type in breweries and it'll pull up a brewery. Right. They're like everywhere now. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's a craft brewer.
Yeah. And it's, it's somewhat hipsterish.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like, they're kind of like craft breweries are like the flagships of like developing areas. So we're here at Atlas Brew Works right now.
Right.
Like 10 years ago, like I was saying to you earlier, like there were like prostitutes up and down the street every day. Like when I would go to work, stop off to get gas, like, I'm being sold more than gas, and they get these cheap warehouses and they, breweries like high ceilings. So they come into these warehouses, they get them for cheap, create a brewery, for breweries here, people are going to come here, so they kind of just build around it.
Yeah.
So,
So what you do specifically now, is it still in the industry, specifically related to craft brewing? I know I've talked to you and like read your bio and all that good stuff, and you're Cicerone-certified beer server. And of course he's a podcaster. We recently just recorded an episode of Help the Poor. Also a blogger or writer as well, specifically on beer culture. So Just talk a little bit about that, and just kind of more so just how you just really zoned in on, I guess, what we can say is your niche, and then coming from the background that you came from at an HBCU or just college in general, how that's just not a pathway that specifically people would go towards.
Yeah.
Like what felt natural to you? What made you say, hey, let me try to crack the ceiling on this particular industry?
Yeah, so once the Drink It internship was over with, like, at this point we had traveled to all these different very noteworthy breweries. So like we'd gone to Czech Republic, to Pilsner Urquell, and Berlin, Germany, and Freising, Germany, Munich, Germany, and Brussels and Budapest, and like all these places. And we, thought, like, it's people that work in a beer industry now that have like never been to those places.
Yeah.
So going there, like, Shep and I always like to say, boy, we just I don't want to say the N-word on here, but like, we just two N-words from Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And we say that because it's like, it's almost like we don't think we should be here, but we feel like we should be here. In a sense, it's like, no, we do belong here.
It's a little bit like a Black History moment, if you really want to be real, because, no, seriously, because I don't know. Yeah. Like, aside from what I've been exposed to through your podcast and then your writing and blog and stuff, I don't know anybody else who's like engulfed in like beer in the brewing industry like you. I'm going
to make a left turn right here.
Okay, turn it.
Here's the thing, and this is, how can I say this? I'm just going to say this. So, black folks, if we're just talking about black people, we historically create a lot of things, and those creations get taken from us.
Yeah.
And then over time and over generation, we lose sight of the fact that we created this.
Right.
And then we start to believe that that's not us.
Right.
What does that mean when I say that? So
your intellectual property basically is like
oldest
co-opted.
The oldest records of beer making have been found in Egypt. Okay? If you don't know anything about geography, I think we all know that Egypt is on the continent of Africa. So what does that tell you? That tells us that black folks, people of color, however you want to spin it, have always been a part of this craft beer thing.
Yeah.
Always. Now, that beer that was brewed back then, does it look, smell, and taste like the beer that we drink now? Probably not, but the foundation has been laid there. Yeah. So why now do we not accept that? Because there's a disconnect somewhere. It's because whoever took that and was like, no, this is ours. Yeah. So when there were opportunities in like the early 1900s, or hell, even in the 1800s, we probably couldn't do that because of certain political, social constructs, slavery, Jim Crow, all these different things. So this is generations now that we now have a disconnect. So it's like, that's not our thing. When in actuality, it is our thing. Now, you can couple that with tattooing. You can couple that with country music. You can couple that with rock. You can couple that with anything. Yeah. And so
we're at the helm of it.
There's
and we forget that a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shout them out. There's a following on Instagram. They actually have their own brewery, in the beginning stages of building their brewery out in Inglewood, California, called Crown and Hops. But their thing is like Black People Love Beer. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say whether I like or dislike that slogan, but I get what that means. It's kind of like a reintroduction. It's like, nah, man, like, this is our shit. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it like that. It's everybody's shit, but you need to know that we have stake in its ownership. Right. We have ownership in the creation of this thing that we call beer. And in somewhere, someplace, some form, it's just been lost. Yeah. So that's why I'm here now.
And that's really awesome, because I love the additional stuff that you shared, because I didn't know all of it. But that's what's really awesome about you being a podcaster and you being a blogger and sharing your knowledge, is because I even heard about them, Crown and Hops, through your podcast, and Benny and, you know, the whole gang and what they're doing out in California. And that's what's so amazing about where you can go after you leave your HBCU, after you leave college, or if you have dreams of anything, is that you can always educate people on what is pertinent to our particular race, and what we're a part of, and where you should not be fearful of going into these spaces. So that's really dope about just everything that they're doing out there. But let's talk a little bit about you guys being vloggers and then also podcasters, or you too, because the podcasting space, a lot of people assume that you make money from doing it, and a lot of times it's just a labor of love. But it's definitely something I really love to do. So like, how exactly did you get into the podcasting space, and then like, if at all, has it opened any more doors for you to do like different things from being in this space?
So when we returned, one thing we noticed from that internship, all the festivals and breweries that we attended, it was so many positions of leadership held by women, which was ironic to our reality, because all of the women that we knew didn't drink beer. Like, it was, you know, it just didn't happen. So it was kind of like, damn, well, that's crazy. Now we know all these women who own breweries, write beer blogs, basically catapult the culture. And then we also know this other group of ladies who just don't drink beer at all. So it's like, we kind of wanted to play the middle guy. We wanted to be a vehicle to kind of like bring in all women, to basically just have a platform for women to talk, but kind of like using beer as like the, you know, just like the scaffold or whatever. And, you know, just talk about women's issues, so that, you know, because we also want to always remain in a learning state. So
always be teachable.
Always be teachable, coachable, because, you know, it's generation upon generation, like, things get handed down and you begin to think that certain things are okay. It's like, oh, it's cool to talk to women like this. They do it. I did it when I was this age. And then it's like I said, it gives women a platform to be like, nah, motherfucker, like, stop doing that shit. Y'all need to stop doing this. Shut up. Do this more. It's like, oh, okay, you might be right. So that's all.
Very cool. And I guess I'm kind of thinking of it too, like, as a little bit of a, what is it, like, focus group, almost like a kind of research
it is
bubble. Like, what have you guys been able to glean from the various people that you've had on the podcast and their feedback about just beers, even either being in the industry or just being complete novice?
I think, well, if we're just speaking about women and beer, it's like, don't assume. I think, like, I've been working in breweries now for like the past 4 or 5 years, and like, I will constantly have people come and like, what's a good beer for a girl? Sorry, ma'am or sir, I don't know how to answer that question. What flavors? I can tell you what flavor, you know, if you tell me what kind of flavors you like, I can probably find a beer for you. But like, it's like, just don't assume, and like, be quiet. You don't have to always say anything. It's probably best to just listen. And you can tell I'm married now. Just don't say anything.
He's been.
I apologize.
He's been in a place where he gets it.
I think it's like, you know, just don't assume and just listen. You know.
Cool. And a little bit before we kind of like hop off the subject of beer, I always think it's like really awesome when people take the time to get like more knowledge about their particular industry and just, you know, become masters, experts, what have you. You have something that is called the Cicerone, and I feel like we talked about it just a tad bit, but Cicerone certification. What exactly does that mean, and how special are you now that you have it?
So I have the first level. I'm studying to become a certified Cicerone. So it's 4 levels. It's the Cicerone-certified beer server. And then there's a certified Cicerone. And then there's an advanced Cicerone. And then there's the master Cicerone.
Nice.
So quite a few people have the certified beer server. It's like 20,000 folk have the certified Cicerone.
Is it like being a sommelier? Sommelier?
Yes.
Am I saying it right?
For the advanced is like 10,000, and for the master it's like 20 people in the world that have that certification.
Wow.
So for the certified Cicerone, it's like you're basically a certified beer expert. You know how there's a specific glass for each style of beer. So like knowing the glassware, knowing the different styles of beer and their strength and their color and what grains are used with them, knowing how to clean a draft system, knowing how to disassemble a draft system, knowing how to pair beer with food.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's very in-depth. I mean, and of course, knowing how to brew and the stages and the ingredients and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's pretty in-depth, man, but it's outside of college football, man, and my wife and my son.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that can kind of like hold my attention, man, because I'm literally thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time I'm thinking about it.
And that's so cool that you actually get to work in something that you're always thinking about.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up college football, and this is like jumping us right to the beginning.
Clemson,
but like,
if you're going to ask.
Yeah, I am. How did you not end up at Clemson if you're such a fan and you ended up going to a college in South Carolina?
One.
Well, you did say grades, so.
I had a 1.6.
Okay.
2.
But you played football.
I was pretty good. I don't know if I was Clemson good. And
Okay.
Clemson wasn't even what they are then.
What are they, SEC?
No, they're ACC.
ACC,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I've been trying to keep up.
Yeah, man. Die-hard Clemson fan. It was a heartbreaking loss, but I think we'll be okay.
Alabama, Louisiana?
No, LSU.
Louisiana. Okay, cool. So, Yuval, thank you so much again for like chatting with us. I am going to still kind of like circle back to HBCUs because this is the HBCU podcast.
Yes.
And we did talk a little bit about, kind of like pros and cons and what you really think that's imperative for students to know about going to an HBCU or a college in general. But we want to talk about Claflin just a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Orangeburg, South Carolina. I can only assume that you really had some good times there. While you were there, you decided to join a fraternity, and of course you made, I'm sure, a bunch of lifelong friends. What are some of your favorite moments from either Claflin or South Carolina State, and even Hampton, if you remember anything from there? We did already hear about the pool party, but like
the Hampton was a blur, man.
Okay.
I have a lot of good moments, man. Graduation, man. I think up until that point, like, I hadn't really accomplished anything. Like, that was like my first major accomplishment. Like, anybody can graduate high school, I think.
Yeah.
And anyone can probably graduate college, but you have to understand, like, I'd never really applied myself in the classroom in high school at all. And that was like by choice. Like, that wasn't because I was incapable. It was just like I'm just like not into it. And like graduation, man, and like seeing some of my boys graduate and like just going off and do this, like, damn, okay, like this is all right, man. I actually did something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is too many to count, man. I can remember, which in hindsight was probably a little bit of foreshadowing. My first time getting reprimanded at Claflin, my freshman year, homecoming. We were in like this little dust parking lot, and we were literally funneling 40 ounces of beer, like funneling. And at this time,
this is a dry campus, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Come on, it's Claflin.
Methodist school.
Funneling 40 ounces, and campus security pulls up and shines their light. Everybody turns around and runs. My boy throws his beer, and it like hits me in the chest, and I just freeze. And of course, campus security is like, "Stop! Don't run!" Of course, I just stop. I don't run. Shout out my boy Chill Will for throwing the beer at me. But yeah, like that's some foreshadowing right there. It's like, yeah, he threw a beer at me. Like, I got in trouble because of the beer.
Right, and now you're thriving in beer.
Man.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Some of your favorite memories.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are some of your favorite memories specifically about homecoming? Because with HBCUs, everybody really touts the homecoming. And we have a basketball homecoming, by the way.
Listen, man. like I was never really into it, man. Like it didn't really, like, I mean, I can't say that. Claflin's tailgate is always, like, I love that. Like, that was just fun because people, you know, they bring their kids and, like, you get to see people who graduate and they come out. Like, that is fun. Now, the whole, like, oh, I'm going to buy this outfit so we can go walk in together at the step show, and then we're going to walk. Okay, now you walk first. Don't. Like, I never really got into that shit. Yeah. Like, I didn't really care. I never watched the game. I hate step shows. The comedy shows were always a little trash. But the tailgate, man, like, that's the only thing. And then, like, even, you know, pledging, and then it was like all this, oh, you need to go on the road, you need a road trip, and then of course you would just go to other people's homecomings. Yeah. And it was good for me for like the first 20 minutes. I was like, all right, this is dumb. Like, I don't care.
How do you feel you are? Do you feel like you're more of an introvert than an extrovert?
Like, I can be, I think because I'm an only child. Yeah. But I like people. I like to hear people's story. I like to talk to people. Yeah. That's like me working in the brewery is like good for me because I'm always meeting strangers. Right. And I'm always learning stuff, and just like I like doing that. And I think those things like homecoming, like, you know, it's fun, but it's just too much cool, and I'm not that cool. You know, I'm just not the cool guy. So it's like I'm kind of over it.
He says,
yeah, you know, I'm kind of over it.
If you have any type of advice for students going into college, going to an HBCU, like, what would you say? Pros, cons?
Advice I would give, whatever you wanted to do when you were 8 years old, do that. Now, does that require college? I don't know. That's up to you. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's painting with a broad brush also. That's the only thing I could give, because I didn't get anything from college. Yeah. As far as the classwork, like, I got absolutely nothing. What I did get was how to connect with people. Like, I learned more from people than anything.
The social aspect of it all.
I got so much from the social aspect. Yeah. Like, whether it was just like, you know, my relationship with my boys, or like sexually with the women that I was dealing with. Like, I learned a lot from that. Yeah. You know, like I learned what was bad, what was good. Like, I just learned a lot. I learned a lot of failure. Like, my freshman year, my girlfriend at the time, she got pregnant. My girl was like, "What? You pregnant? What the hell? I'm gonna tell my mama this." Yeah. And had to go through that. Didn't tell my mom for like 3 months or whatever, and winding up, you know, of course, you know, telling them she's pregnant, and she eventually has the baby, and then, long story short, find out that the baby's not mine. Oh. Yeah, it was my freshman year. Yeah. But that was the greatest lesson I've ever learned in my life to this day, because it taught me a lot about people. Yeah. And it taught me, I have a habit of just being, hey, what's up? You know,
right,
happy
really
man.
Happy, all the positive, time. Good vibes.
And then what that situation did is it kind of jaded me. So now it was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't want no girlfriend. I'm doing whatever. You know, I had that attitude. But then it's like, I'm not being true to myself. Right. So it's like, I'm trying to be this.
Because innately, that's not who
I'm trying to be this jaded guy. So it kind of taught me to be like, hey, you know, people are going to do whatever they want to do. You know, you can't let somebody force you into being an asshole. Yeah. Like, you have to, if you want to be an asshole, like, do that yourself and then own it. Right. And 98% of the time, like, I don't want to be an asshole. So it's like, I'm not going to do that. So it helped me deal with future, you know, potential heartbreaks. Like, oh, you don't want me? Oh, no, hey, man, everybody, you know. Yeah. You don't have to do that. That's fine.
I love the perspective, Jamaal. Yeah, like, really a good way to put it in perspective. So when it comes to you, Claflin University, South Carolina State University, what does giving back look like for you?
Being a model. Yeah. Like how we were talking, like, That's why I love your podcast, because I would have loved to have something like this when I was coming out of high school. Be like, oh, I can do what this person does that. Like, at least for me, I would have loved to have that. So it's like just kind of just being a model for whatever it is, that being an untraditional model. Like, I don't know anybody. I'm sure that they are, but like, I don't know anybody else that's working in the craft beer industry that went to, at least that went to Claflin or State.
Yeah.
Or like, just like in the industry, like how I am. And that's not like a bragging thing, but it's like, imagine if that was a thing at Claflin, because there are colleges that have brewing programs. Or
even now people are getting into like the cannabis industry, and that's a thing too.
Or like just trades in general. Like, I think, you know, after Reconstruction and Jim Crow, like as far as like black people, we kind of like got away from trades because for whatever reason, and like now everything's being automated. Like
we don't need you.
It's going to be two classes. It's going to be rich and poor, and the rich are going to be the people that can create the algorithms or whatever. One thing that you can't automate is creativity.
Yeah.
So it's like at that point, I think we need to learn trades. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if you code,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can't automate creativity. Like we have, like we're sitting in a brewery now, and you have all these machines and these computers, but you need people to taste the beer to make sure the beer is right.
Absolutely.
Like, you need, we have a table, a bar table. You need somebody that knows a thing or two about wood cutting, that knows how to make a bar.
Right.
Or a carpet. Like, you can't automate creativity. So I think we really need to get back to trade. Not to nerd out too much. There's a great book called Homo Deus by Yuval Harari, I think.
Okay.
Great one about like trades and all that good stuff.
And I'll get that from you and definitely drop it in the show notes, because I love when somebody
awesome
says
book.
a suggested read.
It's to go further in my nerdage. It's 3 parts. The first part is called Sapiens.
Okay.
First book is called Sapiens. Second book is called Homo Deus, Deus, and the third book is called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And it's all about the history of past, present, and future as it relates to like class and technology and trades and all that. It's awesome, man, and especially for black folks. Like I mean, we have to get more into trades.
Yeah.
I have an idea for Claflin too.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
If people want to follow you guys on your journey and what you have coming soon, how do they follow you? Social media, website, how do they find you?
So you can follow our podcast, Help the Poor, Pour. We're on all the things: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud. What's the other one? Anchor.
Yep.
And Anchor. And you can follow me at Sweetgrass3 on Instagram. I normally, if I write something, I normally write for Good Beer Hunting. If you want to follow them also, they're on Instagram, Good Beer Hunting.
Dope.
So I'll have some of my pieces up there. And so, yeah.
Cool. So that is it, you guys. And if you missed anything, we can definitely make sure it's shared all on our thehbcupodcast.com. So definitely visit there. You'll be able to see more about Jamaal there. And also in the show notes, we'll have all the links to the things that he just shared. So Jamaal, thank you so much for setting this up. This is an experience like none other. I've had a blast being a part of your podcast, as well as sharing, your experience here with the HBCU podcast. See, bye. Thank you so much for listening to the HBCU podcast. We have so much more HBCU content on the way, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate the podcast, and visit us at thehbcupodcast.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at thehbcupodcast. Like us on Facebook. We love you for listening. Until next time.